Going to Legion Azure here like always, and hey, look, my color settings actually saved. That's awesome. Yeah, it's been a while since we've done the 21 Pilot stuff. I checked to see if I've done Bandito. I know we did the Bandito tour, but I don't think we've actually done Bandito. At least it's not on my videos. Yeah, and so this video is going to be a little longer based off of other things, right? Like so. Some personal stuff for me and some other stuff somebody was talking to me like on Twitter saying, I think I either almost or I unsubscribed because I don't mean to call that person out, I'm not being mean or anything, but I don't really care about like some of the other reactions like movies and stuff like that, and I'm like, that's completely fine, like I get it. I also have that personal, and for those of you that have been here for a long time, you know that I also feel the same way when it comes to like doing music, where it's like I don't want to like leech off them, and everybody's like, "Hey, no, screw that, man. We we want reactions, and that's cool to hear for any reactor that people just want reactions. That's an awesome thing." But yeah, it's been a while, not just for 21 Pilots, but like videos in general. I made like 4 videos or so. I uploaded, and then 4 days had passed, and I think it was Thanksgiving. I uploaded 1 video, and then it's another 4 days. So I guess you could say I kind of got a promotion at work. So for those of you that don't remember, I was like about to lose my internet, and because I wasn't paying for it at the time, and things like that. And that was kind of like a crazy situation, and my computer was breaking, and I still never replaced it. It's still going strong. Thank you. I love you, computer. Keep up the fight. And I got a job, and then 8 months later, I went to a different part of where I work that is a better part. And this is where so here's the personal side of things for me. One of the reasons why I'm making 21 Pilots, there's a few reasons. One, because people kind of want it. 2, it's also good views, of course, and it's a good thing. That's why some of my channel is successful, because of 21 Pilots and stuff like that. And 3, it's a good time for me to come and talk about my personal stuff. And if you don't want to hear that, you can skip ahead. It's completely fine. But like, I've had people like, and I'm not going to get in their personal business, but I've had people message me on Twitter and stuff and say, "Hey, I really enjoy just hearing you talk about them and all of that, because it's really cool." And well, they didn't say really cool. I'm just kind of paraphrasing, because they're going through their own stuff. And so for me, I went through my own stuff, I guess. Dynamic. I had a friendship with somebody in another part of where I work, and eventually I moved to that part, and things got real kind of like negative, right? Personalities clashed, and it was like 3 weeks I didn't talk. We didn't talk. This is a person that like you text all the time, you talk to, all that stuff like that, and then it went to nothing, and things are kind of okay now. Like everything went back to normal in a face-to-face capacity, but like I think texting was more of a personal thing, and like that's not where I am at, because it was kind of my fault, I guess. But that's a little on the personal side. I don't want to get into all that personal business. The part I want to talk about is like when all that was happening. When you get in your own head, when you think things, like when you start working yourself up, that is like the craziest thing for me, because I don't let stress usually get to me. I don't really let things get to me like that. Hence me being on the internet, but when I do kind of start to focus on things like that, I get really bad. So like, whenever I do go to a new job or go to another department or whatever it is that you're doing, I get a little stressed out, because you want to make the best impression to your boss as you can, right? When I got the other job, I'm not going to get into that, but that area was not something that you needed to impress anybody about. Although I impressed, and I was very happy that I did so, and that made me feel great. And when I went to this other area, I wasn't like, it was like my second or third day that in this other area that we conflicted, and so that kind of bothered me in a way, right? And what happened was I found myself stressing out about the work, and then this friendship that I ruined, and then that combined stress made me bad at my job, and then I was stressing out about my job even more. And then like when people like, you know, when other people go off to do their own thing, right? They're not in your eyesight. You know, if it's like you and like a certain number of people and a certain number of people are gone and it's just like you, then you start getting your own head, right? You go, oh, they talking shit about me. They making jokes about me. I think there was a joke that wasn't meant to be mean, because even in this fallout between me and this person, it was never like hatred between us, which is really lucky. It was more like certain things, and I was just like, I gotta focus on work. I can't talk. I can't be personal with this person. And then something happened, and an external thing happened, and then we didn't really talk about work either. So then I'm like, so there was no hatred on that person's side or on my side, and this was never anything romantic either. But so there was always jokes to be made, because like, oh, he's still going to be doing his work by the time we go back out there to do more of our work. Stuff like that was what I thought was being said, and a joke or two like that was said after we had talked about everything. I was like, you know, like that person walked by me and we hadn't looked at each other really or talked, and then they snickered, and I was like, what the hell is that? What was that laugh? Why? And I thought to myself, it's because they went back there and they were dicking around and having fun and talking about nothing that probably involved me, or maybe like it doesn't really seem like it. Like, I'm not going to say that this is the kind of like work environment to where if I wasn't doing my best, they're ragging on me for it, because everybody there is very chill and stuff like that. But that could have been some jokes that were being said, and there may have been some jokes that were being said, or it wasn't necessarily a joke, but a personal thing that they joked as they walked by, or they thought like maybe it looked bad, you know. And that's the part I'm getting into. Like, that's the over imagination, right? That's the overworking. When you're like stressed out, or where you think that you screwed up or whatever, you really start to get into that kind of mindset. And yeah, it's just one of those things that's a little crazy. Like, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I haven't made videos really, because I'm down to 200 pounds, right? When I started working at my job, I lost a lot of weight. I was down to like maybe 220 or something like that. And I think the stress has brought me down to 200 is what I think. Oh God, somebody's home, and I left my door open. 1 second, people. 1 second. As you can probably tell, this is going to be one of those videos where I am just going with it. Because this is the 21 Pilots community, right? You guys are just here. You guys are open. You guys are willing to listen to me ramble, right? I appreciate it. Love you guys for that. I try to keep things a little on the professional side. I knew leaving my door open was a bad mistake. Somebody was going to come walking in, and then it was just going to be a crap show. But yeah, like, that was my over imagination just kicking in. It was driving me nuts. And it bothered me, because I don't like when people talk about me behind my back. And so I was kind of candid, like, oh, I'm sure there's jokes that were said about me and stuff like that. And they're like, what, you know, nothing like that, really, because they're all good people. And then I was like, I brought it up. I'm like, why did you laugh after we were good? Why did you laugh when you walked past me and I was doing this task right here? And they're like, I can't quite remember. And I was like, do you really not remember? Or are you just not, because it was extra mean? And they're like, no, I can't. And I was like, here's what I thought. I figured you guys went back there. You guys were having fun, because sometimes they have meetings and everybody denies it except for like this other person. So I don't know if it's true or not. Like, sometimes they talk about people and how the department's going, even though two of them aren't in, like, anything, and one of them is like, you know, in a place of power. And the two other people are like, nah, we don't really do that. And the one person's like, yeah, we do it every now and then. We talk about everything. And my first thought was, oh, well, the biggest hot topic is me. I'm the one that's being too slow at my job. And that's kind of what this individual said, the person I wasn't feuding with. And so I go, I don't know if you guys were back here having a meeting, or you guys were out here just talking and BSing around, which is what the other two were saying, and what all three of them said, really, which that's a little too much. Like, you know, part of me thinks that they were probably just kind of having a discussion that was joking, but also probably bringing up like me not being the best I could be. And I wasn't being the best I could because I was stressing about everything, which is what everybody knows. And I was like, well, here's what I thought. When you walked by and laughed, I figured that somebody back there, whether it was you or whoever, made the joke that I was just being too slow and then I'd still be working by the time you guys got out there. And that person started laughing. It's like, yeah, I think a joke like that was made. And then when they describe the situation, I go, yeah, that wasn't then. That was like a couple days before that. So there's a couple days before that joke was made. And that kind of crap sucks, man. That kind of stuff just really freaking sucks. That people are gonna like make jokes like that about you. The thing is though that the people aren't like cruel people. So the joke is just general shit talk, right? Not personal, not I don't like Azrael, right? Not like that. Just like, oh, I bet you can still out there. Which is the same thing when like we're talking about the person where it's like, oh, I bet you they're still on their break, mother, you know. And like when I say this stuff out loud, I all that leaves me. I'm like, oh yeah, maybe I was taking it a little too personally because it's me, but we all say that kind of stuff about one another. And in the moment, because I was so thinking about how bad I was doing, I was taking all that stuff not as a friendly joke or just, you know, crap talk, but I was taking it as like their actual opinions of me. And that kind of stuff was kind of like annoying to think about. I don't want to say like it bothered me. I didn't take it to heart. But that's just kind of what I've dealt with for like the last 3 weeks is almost constant stress. I wake up and I feel like a boom because I know like what had happened or it was actually still going on. And I mean, if I consider you a friend, no matter what it is, you know, I'm not going to treat you like a piece of crap. I mean, I said this, but this was one of my favorites. And I said this to somebody. I said, I have no problem standing on my island watching the USS Friendship sail away. Because if you say something that makes me mad or whatever, after I've kind of mentally given you some chances, I have no problem cutting those people out. And that was more of a high school me. Part of me thought that that's what happened with me and this person. That it was 3 weeks and they just thought that. And they were like, okay, well, that's just how it is. And then I kind of made amends. But in the moment, like I was just like thinking like I was, instead of taking it with a grain of salt, I was kind of taking the whole, you know, Sahara Desert, right? It was kind of like because of the stress, because of I was overthinking. Not that I was getting too emotional about things, but when you overthink things, holy crap, do you just take things more on a just actual basis. Instead of it like being sarcasm, you think it's an actual comment. And so sometimes the mind can really work you up, man. Sometimes the mind can really get to you in that way. And it doesn't have to be like self-harm or things like that. It can just be dread or worry, you know, or things of that nature. So don't always just look out for the biggest symptoms, right? Don't just look out for the biggest things that are going to, you know, like things that might go to suicidal thoughts or things that might involve cutting or self-harm or things like that. Those are pretty extreme circumstances. Always make sure you look for the little things too. Somebody being overly stressed, somebody being, you know, a little bit more on edge or something like that, or quiet. You know, somebody that you know that is a normal talker or has a my eyes just started to water. I don't want you to think I'm crying. Shut up. Don't be dumb. But when people are outgoing and then they're not, pay attention to those little things as well. Don't just look for the big stuff. Don't look for long sleeve shirts in the summer, right? Like I know I look pretty kind of haggard, but this is from my job. You can't really see it here. This one's the worst one. It looks very basic on camera, but that one really sucked. Don't look for long sleeves in the summer, right? Don't be doing like don't be looking for the big stuff. Always pay attention to the little things, because talking, you know, may help out. And I talked a lot about this, but because it was still going on, it helped, but then it didn't. And because I saw this person every day, it never went away until I resolved things. And even now, I'm still kind of working out like, okay, well, we were like this, and now like at work and not at work, as far as texting more like this, socially. And now it's like we're not like that. So let's just get to this. It's 14 minutes, guys. I'm so sorry. For those of you that stuck and listened to all this, you are the real champions. You are the real MVPs. I can't thank you enough for listening to me get all my personal stuff out. It does mean a lot for anybody that just stayed and watched or listened to just what I had to say. I'm really sorry also that the comments have been kind of backed up. I'm going to specifically look out for comments for this video. I have like a lot more backed up that I just haven't got to, because Work, man. I realistically doing a job that is kind of more of a physical job, and then coming home and having to like go through comments is kind of taxing, you know. So I try to like get to them as best I can, and I'm so sorry again that I can't. But let's just get to this. But yeah, always look out for those little things, man, because somebody might be stressed or going through a hard time, and like I said, I talked about it a lot, and it helped, but it was also kind of crappy because I was also still doing it. Just a, I really want to. Actually, this sounds really good already, but you know, and like I said, because we were like this, but now we're not. Like the texting thing, like I said, it's more of a personal thing, and now it's like I might have like lightly ruined it. Maybe things will be better in the future. Maybe it's just taking a step back now, you know, because it was like hundreds and thousands of texts to like now we don't, and that's for me. It's like that still makes me think that things aren't the same or aren't good. You know what I mean? And that's me overthinking again. I'm glad I have another friend. This other girl that I work with that is let me kind of throw all that. I mean, they have their own issues, and I don't mind listening because I'm also the person that listens to everybody else's problems as well at work. But this other person, this girl that I know, she's also been listening to me just kind of like get all this out and give me a lot of advice, and I always appreciate that too from her. And no, none of these people ever see this, but I just thought I'd say it.
But I know that I'm going low. I'm a bandito. I could take the high road, but I know that I'm going low.
I feel like I've heard it kind of. Nope, never heard of this, I don't think.
I could take the high road, but I know that I'm going low.
Ah, hey. Okay, I heard of that.
I'm a bandito. This is the sound we make when in between two places.
This is wild.
Where we used to be, and where our blood needs to be. I could take the high road, but I know that I'm going low. I'm a bandito. I could take the high road, but I know that I'm going low. I'm a bandito. In city, I feel my spirit is contained. Like neon, inside the glass they form my brain. But I recently discovered it's a heatless fire. Like nicknames they give themselves to uninspire. Began with bullet, now add fire to the proof. But I'm still not sure if fear's a rival or close relative to truth. Either way, it helps to hear these words bounce off.
I want to hear that again.
They give themselves to uninspire. Begin with bullet, now add fire to the proof. But I'm still not sure if fear's a rival or close relative to truth. Either way, it helps to hear these words bounce off of you. The softest echo could be enough for me to make it through. I created this world to feel some control. Destroy it if I want. So I sing sorrow falling now. Sorrow falling now. Sorrow. I could take the
Have I seen Ride yet? I don't know if I've seen Ride. That was damn good, though. I'll stand by my comment that I said months and months ago, which is, you know, I don't always need the horrible music or the music that describes horrible things because I've lived through it all. But, like, this is one of those songs where, like, I'm kind of glad that I had my discussion about what bothers me on a song like this. It wasn't like necessarily one for one. This was a little different. I mean, I think I could have just thrown a dart against all their songs and found one that had maybe a little bit more connectivity to what I was going through. But it was still like a good song that kind of like the Fear comment, or is it a closer whatever to Truth? And I was like, oh man, that made me think too, because like partway through the video, I don't know. Sometimes I realized I was kind of like I started thinking about like my personal stuff, like the person that I was close with or friends with or whatever, and then you had the falling out, and then they were working with somebody else that I was kind of friends with, but they didn't really like that person, and then something personal happened with the one I had an issue with, and the other, I know this is really complicated. Friend 1 is the one I had problems with. Friend 2 was somebody else that works in the same area that I also knew. Friend 1 never really liked Friend 2, but I met them kind of like through one another. And then when Friend 1 went through something personal and kind of tragic, something that maybe 21 Pilots has talked about, Friend 2 was there. And now they're like a lot closer. They're actually friends now. And, you know, you can't help but feel replaced, right? From somebody like me that was talking to Friend 1 a lot, and now it's gone because of probably something that I did or I ruined. And now you're replaced with somebody that was there for them in a very emotional and personal time, that now that friendship means more to them than it does to me. Or the friendship between 1 and 2 is now more important than how friendship with me and Friend 1 was, right? Like you can't help but feel kind of like bad that you kind of got replaced, you know? That's a kind of a crappy feeling, and that's how I feel kind of. I think I've moved past almost everything except that is the underlining thing that would happen between us, is that you just kind of get replaced, and that's just a real crappy feeling to have. The crazy thing is Friends 1 tragedy happened before everything that happened between me and Friend 1 happened. So they were close, and then but they never talked like that. They never had each other's numbers. They never talked. They never were anything like that, but they were close, like at work and stuff like that. They would just sit at work and maybe talk after work or whatever happens. But what happened then, what I did drove Friend 1 to not have a whole lot of people to talk to, text-wise, and reached out to Friend 2. And it's my fault that I pretty much replaced myself. And that, I think, is the underlying thing that bothers me the most. Everything else is fine. That is the thing that actually bothers me. There's no dread. There's no overthinking things. I think that's just an actual truth. And that's really what sucks. And I think for me, I just either have to understand that that's the friendship now, because there's also a lot of jokes that there was romantic stuff as well, but that never happened. But that shows you how close we were. And so when things like that happen, it's just, it really sucks, man. It really does. I guess when you realize that you are, you know, the author of your own destruction, take a kind of a play on the Bond quote there, that kind of hurts you more. I never realized that either. I'm so glad that I talked about this out loud, whether nobody's watching this or not. I still feel better. I've always said that when I get the most mad is when I know I screwed up and when I did something wrong. Not when somebody else makes a mistake, it's whatever. I don't care. Learn from it. But for me, it's like I'm the reason why things aren't that way. I'm the reason why I got replaced. And that's, I think, what hurts the most. Not that it's actually happened, that I'm the one that did it. And that really does suck. I hate to leave it on a bummer. This is a great song, 10 out of 10. Put it on the playlist. I'm listening to it. Always keep an eye on just the small things. Everything seems kind of normal, and sometimes it may seem like a hassle to go out of your way to be like, are you okay? You good? But sometimes if you see, like, maybe pay attention. If somebody's having not a bad time, but they just seem a little off. Hey, what happened? Did you get in an argument? And I've always been a big proponent of talking that stuff out is the best way. Like, I keep a lot of other things to myself, but when it's things that I can't work out, I can work out a lot just by myself. I don't really need to talk about it, but there are times when something is just such a prolonged thing, that it needs, it's a good way to, even if you're just saying it out loud to an empty room, sometimes getting that stuff out there will help you. And sometimes you being that sounding board for your friend or somebody that will also help them. So always kind of keep those little things in mind. Like I said, don't be looking for those long sleeves in the summer. Don't be looking for odd behavior, right? It's perfectly normal if someone's having a bad day and they don't want to talk. But it's also going to make them feel really good if you come up and say, you doing good? You all right? And they're like, yeah, what do you mean? Oh, you just look like you're having a bad time. And if they're not having a bad time, they just had that face, somebody cared about them. And that's going to make them feel good too. So always keep those little things in mind. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for the people that listened. I love you guys so much. You don't know how much it means to me for the people that did stick around and listen to me kind of like unburden myself. Because like I said, I don't really talk about my emotions much. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm not an emotional person, but I'm a stronger person like that. I don't need to always yell about something. I don't let a lot of things get to me, and I can work things out. But sometimes when things get to that level, I have no problem saying it. I'm going to say it in probably the mushiest way ever when it actually happens, when I actually have to say something to somebody. And that's just into me rambling. Thanks again, guys, and I appreciate you guys listening to me and checking out the video and all that stuff. It means a lot. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. And I hope this video actually doesn't get blocked. That'd be nice. Later, guys.